Once upon a time there was a young boy named Timothy who lived in a small village at the edge of a deep, dark forest. Timothy was an adventurous child who loved exploring the woods near his home. One sunny day, Timothy decided to venture deeper into the forest than he ever had before. As Timothy walked under the tall trees, he felt excited but also a little nervous. The farther he went, the darker and more overgrown the forest became. Strange sounds echoed around him and beams of sunlight streamed through the canopy overhead. Timothy wasn't paying attention to where he was going and soon realized he was lost. Looking around desperately, Timothy could no longer tell which direction he had come from. The trees all looked the same. Timothy called out, hoping someone would hear him, but only silence answered. As the sun started going down, Timothy began to panic. He was alone and lost in the middle of the forest. Too scared to wander around in the dark, Timothy quickly gathered branches and leaves to make a little shelter. Curled up beneath the makeshift roof, Timothy tried not to worry and attempted to fall asleep. The sounds of the forest at night, cracking twigs, hooting owls, and scurrying animals, kept Timothy wide awake. What kinds of creatures came out in the woods at night? As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, Timothy quickly packed up his shelter and chose a direction to walk in, hoping it would lead him out of the forest. All morning he wandered, becoming more discouraged when he didn't recognize any landmarks. Just when Timothy was ready to give up hope, he stumbled into a clearing, and what he saw made him gasp in awe. In the clearing was a small village of tiny stone houses with mushroom roofs. The cobblestone paths were bustling with little people, no taller than Timothy's knee. Timothy couldn't believe his eyes. The dwarves going about their daily business were just like in fairy tales. Timothy hesitated, wondering if he should reveal himself. Just then, a tiny voice called out, "Hello there." Timothy looked down to see one of the dwarves smiling up at him. "I'm Norbert, who are you?" the dwarf asked. Timothy introduced himself and explained how he had gotten lost in the woods. Norbert invited Timothy to their village for a warm meal, and Timothy gratefully accepted. As they walked through the charming village, the other dwarves greeted Timothy kindly, if a bit shyly. They didn't seem to get big folk visitors very often. Over a delicious mushroom stew, Norbert and the other dwarves listened to Timothy's story and offered to help him find his way home. "The forest can be tricky," Norbert explained. "But we know it well and can guide you back to the places you recognize." Relieved and thankful, Timothy set off with his new friends. As they hiked through the woods, the dwarves pointed out landmarks and trails. After hours of walking, the trees finally began to look familiar to Timothy again. The dwarves led him right to the edge of the forest near his village. Timothy was so grateful for the dwarves' help. As thanks, Timothy promised he would bring gifts from the village to share with them next time he visited. After farewell hugs, the dwarves disappeared back into the forest and Timothy emerged from the trees, happy to be home again with an amazing new story to tell. From then on, Timothy visited the dwarves' hidden village regularly, always bringing treats from home to share. The dwarves taught Timothy about the plants and animals of the forest, and Timothy regaled them with stories of the outside world. And Timothy never forgot his compass again when venturing into the deep, dark woods.